Well, how about that? The Rajasthan Royals, they're certainly becoming one of the more entertaining teams of the IPL 2021. A game that's come alive in the last few overs of a chase. Yet again, no sixes in the Delhi innings, but four at the bat of Chris Morris have given Rajasthan Royals their first points for a game which you otherwise thought Delhi well and truly had under control. A low-scoring thriller at the Wankhede Stadium. It's not often we get to say that, but a couple of South Africans have stood up for the Royals on the night. David Miller with a half century in his first appearance, and Chris Morris seeing things off. Irfan, Pathan and Dan Vettori with me on ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Irfan, that was fun. What's happened over there? Chris Morris has maybe taken that refusal of the single a couple of nights back by Sanju Samson right to heart.
Absolutely, he did that, right? But that night was different because at that time, Sanju Samson was a set batsman. Here is a different story altogether. He was the one who was actually more set than the other batsmen. So he took the responsibility and he made sure that he tells everyone with his performances that money on auction was worth it. And he did that. And that's why Rajasthan Royals bought him, not only for his bowling, with the new ball and an older ball, but to finish the games for them with the bat as well. And today he proved them right.
Yeah, I mean that's an important innings for Morris personally. You think this is what franchises want to pay the big money for, in addition to just the bowling, Dan? And it's not like it's happened often for Chris Morris. We're discussing how their overseas players they're missing out due injury or whatever else, but this was a big performance by a big overseas player.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes we confuse that auction price with hundreds and 5-wicket bags, whereas someone like Chris Morris, he's been bought for an innings like this. He's been bought to bowl at the death and to take wickets with the new ball. So I think this justifies a lot of what the expectations are around him to be able to close an innings in a really tense situation. And I think 30-odd off 17 balls with this pressure, with no one else batting with him, really, justifies in a lot of ways the faith that a lot of franchises have put in Chris Morris.
Delhi had done all the hard work, Irfan. They had early wickets of the Rajasthan Royals. They had their top order back in the heart early. They were 4 for 36 at one stage, 5 for 42. What happened in those last few overs? Did they take it easy?
Take it easy, but I think they bowled the wrong length. In this pitches, they should have just gone away from the batsman, away from the body. They should have tried more Yorkers, but the sixy hit of I think Rabara was a length ball as well, and then he hit Tom Curran's last over wasn't that up to the mark as well, and they'll be very, very disappointed with the way they made a plan at the end. And I think, look, if they were playing in Chennai and they were hitting the lengths and trying to miss it with a slow one, there was a different thing altogether because that was a different pitch. But here they should have just gone away wide Yorkers. Maybe that would have been a better plan. And I think I was disappointed with the fielding effort on the last over of the first ball from Prithvi Shaw as a young guy, and I think there were no 2 runs there.
Yeah, all right, interesting. But it looked like for a large part of that second innings, Dan, the Delhi's bowlers had it under control, that they were ready and set to defend a low score. Did they just lose it a little bit in the last couple of overs?
Well, I think it's tricky when you've been bowling so well and that hard length has been working for you. And you saw the wickets they're able to take and the pressure they're able to put on Rajasthan. So to all of a sudden switch from that, it's not as easy as you think. And I think you have to realise that once a team needs that sort of 12 and over, 14 and over, they're looking for sixes, and those length balls can be the balls that go for 6. So to Irfan's point, to go wide hole, to push yourself into going to Yorkers, they looked a step behind in those last few overs. I mean, the length ball that Rabada bowled, the ball that Wokes bowled to Unukat, and then obviously Curran in the last over or so. I think just shows you that you have to think on your feet. You have to realise that the length wasn't the right way to go, and you have to change to Yorker. But in saying that, it worked so well. That's why Delhi kept trying it.
Is that down to just maybe not having experience in leadership? Because you still have experienced bowlers bowling. Irfan, you've got Rabada, you've got Wokes, Tom Curran's played a lot of cricket. Could there have been something different that either you like the captain to do, or that's purely on the bowler? The bowler's got to be ready for this.
I think, especially when you have guys like Rabada, who has been consistent bowler for so many years, and not only for Delhi but for South Africa as well. I don't think they will be they will be listening to the captain for the first plan. If the first plan doesn't work, then obviously they'll listen to the captain and then they go for the plan B. But I think its onus comes down to the bowlers, especially with the experienced bowlers.
All right. Now, David Miller's experience. Irfan, you've been calling for him into this team the minute they get an opportunity. That's a really important innings when you felt like all hope was lost for Rajasthan.
Absolutely, and that's why I kept calling again because he's a kind of batsman who's international cricket, especially in one-day cricket. But experience, you can't buy that. Look, it is very, very important. Livingston, yes, a lot of people are talking about him, with especially with his bowling. But guys like him who can win matches for you, and he did that today. And that inning was very, very special, and that came especially in a time when he was making a comeback. That was his first inning after a very, very long time in IPL. And he did it. He proved them right, and especially the way it came at the time where wickets were falling on the other hand, and anyone would have been under pressure, and he was there too. And sometimes when you bowl against Miller, if you hit the hard length, you can be in the game. But today he shows that even those hard lengths, he can whack them big time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a comeback game of sorts for David Miller. Played one game all of last season, that the start of the season, and then was on the bench. He was moved from Punjab for a lot less money than as another player who perhaps has a lot to prove in the IPL, and perhaps an important first innings for him personally to make an impact and show he's not done.
Yeah, I think Rajasthan will be so happy that they backed the move to bring in the experienced player. Like Irfan said, there was probably a lot of pressure to pick Liam Livingstone with his all-round ability to somewhat make up for the absence of Stokes. But Dave Miller proved that experience works. And Dave Miller's one of the good guys of world cricket, so there'll be a lot of people really happy for him. He was one of the big-time players at Kings 11, and then things have changed over the last few years. But it shows that quality is still there. Now, the thing for him is whether the consistency can remain. Because if it can, and he can be that middle order or dominant middle order player that he was, then that goes a long way to addressing some of the issues that Rajasthan have.
Okay, what an odd game in some ways, Irfan. Please carry on. You have a point?
Yeah, no, just to add to that, why I wanted David Miller as well, because, a lot of people talking about Tewatia, had a great, wonderful season, but a lot of people going to work him out, try and bowl short deliveries as well. And especially with the other guy as well, who's inexperienced in Riyan Parag. So you need that experience, and he proved that.
Yeah, fair enough. It's an odd game, this, isn't it? Because wickets fell early in both innings. And you thought, was it going to be challenging to bat? But Chris Morris and David Miller showed there are still boundaries to be had towards the end of it. So what kind of game was this? What kind of surface was this, Irfan, where both top orders seemed to fail?
Was a good surface to bowl on, first of all, agree, because I think it was a surface underneath. In Wankhede, whatever experience I have, if you have a slightly lesser rolling done on the pitch, it does help the fast bowlers because the surface becomes slightly softer. But because of the breeze, which comes from the sea right next to Wankhede Stadium, it helps the ball to move around. But both the time when Rajasthan Royals were bowling, they actually use the slow ones a lot, and that's where they got into trouble, the batsmen of Delhi. But when Delhi came into bowl, they used the seam-up delivery, especially with Wokes, seam-up delivery, zero seam position, and the ball was moving around a bit. But there was something there for the bowlers. Both the teams used it to their benefit, but in a different way.
Game of unforced errors, it seemed, Dan.
Yeah, look, I think to follow up on that pitch comment as well, I was thinking we were worried about Chepauk and what it would look like when Chino weren't there. Maybe we asked the same questions about Wankhede when Mumbai aren't there. They just don't need to make it look quite as good. But I think I actually think the bowlers forced a lot of those errors. I think the lengths that they bowled, Delhi in particular, with how hard they hit their lengths early on. And we talked about selection before the game, that Delhi brought an extra bowler because of the wicket. But actually, that extra bowler worked with their low total as well up until that sort of last couple of overs. So I think these T20 games, they don't happen as often as some people would like in terms of the bowlers being dominant. But I think they become enthralling games when you have a good complement of bowlers on both sides.
Well, poor Jaydev Unadkat, I was hoping he gets a man of the match on his return game. But a player of the match award is due, I guess, for Chris Morris today, you think, Dan? Bigger impact from him? Or was it David Miller that kept Rajasthan in the game? Who's had the most important say in this match for you?
No, I'm still going to Unakat. I think those early wickets set the tone. All the talk was around Prithvi Shaw and Shikhar Dhawan before the game and their partnership and how they were going to continue to dominate. And he came in and put pressure back on Delhi straight away. So early wickets make such a difference to a game. It allows the captain to get into the game and manipulate his bowlers more and more. And I think on the back of the way that Unakat bowled, Sanju Samson was able to rotate his bowlers. And in particular, I think he used Unakat to the optimum levels. And he would be a deserving winner in my mind.
Player of the match for you, Irfan? Not good.
I always look at the condition. The condition was really no. Obviously, I like the bowlers to get man of the match as many as possible, but I like to actually just look at the condition and the situation of the game as well. And I think condition was very conducive for bowling and was hard to bat on. And when David Miller came into bat, wickets were falling consistently. So for me, David Miller.
Okay, that's right. So we've got a divided opinion on who had the bigger impact. Unakat actually had a 6 as well. So he managed to get you some key runs, 11 key runs, as it turns out, in that chase. But it sets things up nicely. Now, Rajasthan Royals have won their first game. Delhi Capitals have won one and lost one. So everyone's winning one, losing one, with the exception of Bangalore and Hyderabad. It's been an unpredictable first week or so of the IPL that's unfolding. But big thank you to Irfan Pathan and Dan Vettori. We'll get them back tomorrow as we have another game in store in Mumbai. What sort of surface can we expect? Well, we don't know. Let's find out until MS Dhoni and KL Rahul's side embark upon the Wankhede Stadium. Do join us then, 7 p.m. IST, just after the toss on ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel.